Hello, I'm Sebastian Horsley. Welcome to Sebastian Horsley's Guide to Whoring. And the thing is about whoring is that you can get the sensation of sex without the boredom of its conveyance. And what I mean by that is that brothels make possible encounters of extreme intimacy without the intervention of personality. You get lust over love, you get sensation over security, and you fall into a woman's arms without falling into her hands. And this can only be a good thing. The difference between sex for money and sex for free is that sex for money always costs a lot less. So we established that because sex that you get for free always ends in misery, children, divorce, mortgages, and suicide. Whereas £50 for a fuck, well, you're not going to get unhappy about that, are you? I have slept with girls who are absolutely beautiful, gorgeous girls for £25, £30, and I slept with pigs for £1,000, So there's no real correlation at all. You would think that if you go to a high-class brothel or you go to the high-class escort agency in the Yellow Pages, you'd get a more attractive girl for your money than you would going to Hull. But it's not true. So the key is to shop around. Here are your options. You can go onto the internet and get a prostitute that way. Get the Yellow Pages. Go to E, not for erection, escort agencies. You can go onto the street and solicit that way. You can go to the walk-ups in Soho or Shepherd's Market. There's plenty of places like that. Or you can go to the saunas. There's loads of saunas all over London, in fact all over the country. This is the McCoy's guide to escort agencies and saunas. And it's basically the Egon Ronne guide to for the professional fornicator. Well, the rules of a brothel: you should always tip the maid. The maid will ask. They usually expect a tip of about £2, so that's absolutely fine. Don't go over that. You want to tip the maid, not fuck her. And always be polite to the girl. When you go into a brothel, you'll see there's a menu on the wall, and it will say French and sex, position, and then there's other things you can do. Some of the places, brothels, will have uniforms, and they'll have whips and chains and all that type of things. Well, as far as the morality of the whole thing, a man who moralizes is usually a hypocrite, and a woman who moralizes is invariably plain. Morality is about opportunity. It's just as difficult for an attractive person not to have sex as it is for an unattractive person to have sex. In the ugly, temptation sleeps. In the beautiful, it's wide awake. Sometimes I have gone alone because that's what I want, and other times I have gone with my girl and muse. Rachel and I have known lots of working girls. As you can imagine, I've met quite a few over a 30-year period of whoring, every day. That adds up to quite a lot. Rachel's known girls in the industry, so you build that relationship. Sometimes you go in and you all get stuck in, or other times you can, watch. You cannot get involved. Details are always vulgar. If she's your wife, you've got trouble, haven't you? Because people keep asking me if I believe in life after death, and I don't believe in life before death. But one thing I can tell you is that life after death is as improbable as sex after marriage. So if she's your wife, then the first bridge you've got to cross is, the fact that you're not doing it anymore, because that's probably what's going on. But actually, the fact that the prostitute would probably be a really nice little thing to get you started, wouldn't it? Well, just ask her, darling, do you want to go to a whorehouse? Yes or no? I mean, it's quite simple, isn't it? In Amsterdam, there are all kinds of places catering for really the most extreme perversions, from S&M to people who are kind of physically deformed, all different types of things. It's a huge market, and it caters for everybody, which is quite nice, really. In that sense, it's democracy at work. I think if you're a beginner, the thing to do, don't curb crawl, don't try and pick up girls at night. I think you're asking for trouble. I think the way to do it is, if you're starting, is to either go online and find a hooker on the internet, or go to the walk-ups. Because if you go to the walk-ups in Soho, you're not going to get into any trouble there. There aren't, contrary to what people will tell you, there's no heavies there, and there's no pimps. There's only ever a girl and a madam. You'll never meet a guy. That's one of the other things. Because some people are intimidated as a man going up and thinking that there's going to be other men there. Well, there never is. It's only ever women. In conclusion, that happy phrase that usually wakes up the viewer, thank you for joining me on Sebastian Horsley's Guide to Whoring. And I hope you've learnt lots and lots of tips. I hope that you've realised that sex is one of the most beautiful, wholesome, spiritual things that money can buy.